Welcome to Reddit Echoes, where we don't just recount heartfelt true stories, but also share in every emotional nuance, every tense moment, and unforgettable shocks. Today I'm going to tell you a story that's not about romantic love, but about conflicts, insecurities, and challenges of living together when a young man has to take in his deeply troubled 11-year-old brother and the struggles his girlfriend faces as a result. This is not only a story about family awkwardness, but also a courageous journey to preserve safety and respect within a home. If you've ever felt confused, lonely, or helpless in a complicated relationship, you will surely see some of yourself reflected in this story. Let's listen together and feel the story from the perspective of someone living it to better understand the power of resilience and courage in the toughest moments. Story 1. Living with my boyfriend and his 11-year-old brother. When comfort turns into fear, hi everyone, I'm assumed name, and I want to share a story that still leaves me feeling confused and stressed every day. I'm 23 years old and have been living with my 26-year-old boyfriend for nearly 3 years. Things were pretty good before. I thought we were happy despite small tensions like any other couple. But recently, my life has changed completely, and not in the way I wanted. My boyfriend's parents were arrested due to some complicated matters I can't detail here. This caused his 11-year-old brother to move in with us. At first I understood that my boyfriend had no other choice, and that the little brother was a child going through a great deal of trauma. But after some time living together, I started feeling uncomfortable. The sense of safety in my own home gradually disappeared. His little brother behaved in ways that made me uneasy. He would stare at me for so long that I felt watched. Whenever I was in the bathroom or just finished showering, he frequently entered without knocking or showing any courtesy, even though I had reminded him many times. Once, when I stepped out of the bathroom wearing only a towel, he was standing there as if nothing unusual was happening. When I asked why, he just stayed silent and walked away, leaving me with chills down my spine. The breaking point came when I discovered that the laptop I lent him for studying had downloaded a lot of adult content, including search histories full of disturbing things. I told my boyfriend, but he said, "It's normal, kids that age are curious," and told me to just clear the history. But I couldn't accept that as normal. I felt abandoned, and all my worries and insecurities were dismissed by my boyfriend as me overreacting. Should I be the only one enduring this? What can I do to protect myself without breaking up our small family? I know many might think I'm overreacting or too sensitive, but the truth is, I can't accept living with such insecurity. Every time his brother enters the room without knocking, my heart tightens. I try talking to my boyfriend, explaining how uncomfortable I feel and asking him to protect me, or at least seriously acknowledge what's happening. But I always get the same answer. He's just trying to adjust to the new life, don't make a big deal out of it. I don't know what he thinks, but to me, this is no small matter. I feel abandoned inside my own home like an uninvited guest. Every time I bring this up, his brother becomes cold or indifferent, and my boyfriend grows more and more detached from my feelings. I begin to doubt if his love and protection for me are real. I don't know how much longer I can endure this. The worst feeling is that I can't feel comfortable even in my own bedroom. Feeling watched, stared at, and ignored about my privacy makes me increasingly withdrawn. I avoid being alone with his brother and even avoid common areas in the house. One day I discovered the laptop I lent him was full of adult websites, videos, and images no 11-year-old should see. I felt scared and angry, unsure how to control the situation. When I brought this up with my boyfriend, he said, "It's normal, boys that age are curious." Then he suggested I delete the history and downloaded files. I wanted to say, no, this isn't normal, but I stayed silent, feeling powerless. Maybe he doesn't understand, or maybe he chooses not to. I feel like I'm facing a storm alone, while the person who should stand by me abandons me. I've thought a lot, wondering if I'm too sensitive, or if I should be firmer. But now the anxiety and exhaustion have crossed all my limits. I just hope one day things will change, that I won't have to be afraid in my own home. And most importantly, that my boyfriend will realize I can't continue living in emotional neglect like this. In the following days, the atmosphere at home worsened. I tried to stay calm, not letting negative feelings overwhelm me. But the truth is, every time I see his brother staring blankly at me or walking in without knocking, my heart aches. My boyfriend became increasingly indifferent, even dismissing my concerns many times. I clearly remember once telling him, "Don't you think I have the right to feel safe in my own home?" He coldly replied, "I don't want to argue anymore. You're making things bigger than they need to be." That phrase cut me deeply like a cold knife. I wondered if he still cared about my feelings, or if because of his responsibility toward his brother, he simply disregarded his girlfriend's worries. The climax came one night when I stepped out of the bathroom, wrapped only in a towel, and saw his brother standing there, eyes fixed on me as if controlling every move. I yelled at him to get out and slammed the door, but he showed no remorse, standing there looking confused about why I was angry. I spoke to my boyfriend about it, begging him to have a serious talk with his brother to set clear boundaries or at least defend me. But each time I got slapped with the same response, "He's just a confused kid." I don't want to make a big deal. However, for me, this is no small matter. Feeling watched, losing privacy, and not being respected caused me sleepless nights and misery. I began to fear going home and often thought about leaving for a while but couldn't bear to leave my boyfriend and his brother. Eventually, I realized something. If the person I trust most, my boyfriend, can't stand with me or protect me, then I can no longer endure this. I seriously started thinking about making a difficult decision. Should I continue living in a relationship where my emotions are neglected and isolated? I write these words not to blame, but to find empathy. I hope through my story, those in similar situations will not stay silent and know their feelings matter. No one deserves to live in fear and abandonment right in their own home. After months struggling with anxiety and loneliness within my own home, I decided I had to make a change. I couldn't keep living in a place where I was belittled and even emotionally ignored. I had a serious talk with my boyfriend, not weak, but determined. I shared that if he can't understand and respect my feelings, if he continues to ignore his brother's unacceptable behaviors, then I will have to leave. He was silent for a long time, his eyes showing confusion and fatigue. Finally, he admitted he felt pressured facing this unwanted situation, but never realized my worries were so serious. We agreed to seek solutions together, including getting his brother professional psychological help to address his trauma and establishing clear rules about privacy in the family. I also realized I needed to be more patient, as that boy is also a victim of circumstances. I learned that in every relationship, not only love but respect, listening, and understanding are essential. When one side feels abandoned or unprotected, it's an early warning sign of long-lasting harm. I don't know what the future holds, but at least I stood up, spoke my truth, and didn't let fear control my life. I hope my story can inspire those suffering from feelings of isolation and abandonment in their relationships. If you have experienced or are experiencing similar situations, don't hesitate to share your story. We are not alone. Only when we speak up together can real change begin. Story 2. Fiancé's Bachelorette Betrayal. When Trust Shatters Before the Wedding. True Reddit Stories. I'm a 26-year-old man, and I want to share with you the most painful experience I've ever had in a romantic relationship. It happened just a few months ago, and to this day, I can't forget the overwhelming feeling of betrayal. My girlfriend Jane was about to enter the final phase of her single life before marrying me. She threw a bachelorette party with her close friends, and I honestly didn't think much of it. I trusted her and believed we had a strong love. But just days after the party, I received a phone call from the husband of one of her friends. He told me he had witnessed something unbelievable Jane and a stripper at that party. He described how Jane wasn't just close to her but actually used her hands in ways I couldn't even imagine. I couldn't believe my ears. Pain and anger overwhelmed me fiercely. I spent the entire day lying on the bed, my heart feeling squeezed, my mind empty. I called Jane, but she didn't answer. My messages went unanswered too. The next day, I decided to confront her through a family member, Jane's close cousin who had attended the party. The heartbreaking truth was undeniable. Jane had crossed the line with the stripper and several others at the party. That completely shattered me. I had placed all my trust in that woman, and she destroyed everything with actions I could never forgive. I thought long and hard about it. Some say relationships can overcome anything, but for me, this was a boundary I could not cross. I couldn't accept such betrayal and deep hurt. Since then, I decided to end the relationship. I didn't want to keep enduring the feeling of deceit and losing my self-worth. I want to share this story so others know that forgiveness isn't always necessary, and not all wounds heal. After the massive shock, I tried to find calm, but it wasn't easy. Every time I saw a message or thought of memories with Jane, my heart tore apart. I felt like I had lost not just a lover, but also my faith in love and myself. I cut all contact with her, no calls, no texts, no meetings. I even blocked her on all social media. I didn't want any explanations or apologies. I just needed peace to heal. However, the days after the breakup weren't easy. My friends and family noticed my change from a cheerful, energetic person to someone quiet and withdrawn. I often asked myself, why me? Was I not good enough? Or did she just not appreciate what I gave? I canceled many plans, trips, and meetups because my heart was too heavy. Sometimes I thought about going back, but whenever I remembered what happened, I told myself to be stronger. One of the most painful things is that despite Jane's betrayal, I still loved her. But love isn't always enough to keep a relationship together. I learned that loving someone doesn't mean accepting everything, especially betrayal and disrespect. There were nights I stayed awake wondering if I'd ever love and trust someone again. But I also understood that time heals, and I must give myself a chance to start over. Through my story, I want to tell those who suffer emotional pain, you're not alone. Pain is part of life, but never let it define you. Hold on to your dignity, learn to love yourself, and believe that one day you'll meet someone more worthy. I hope my story can help someone feel stronger and braver to overcome the dark days and find the light again. Time passed, and I gradually learned to live with the pain and hurt inside. I spent a lot of time reflecting, understanding what I really need in a relationship, and more importantly, learning to love myself before expecting love from others. I focused on work, personal hobbies, and spending time with loved ones, people who always support and love me unconditionally. Every day I try to overcome a bit of pain and turn it into strength, so I'm no longer the one hurt, but someone who values themselves and life. I also realized Jane's betrayal wasn't my fault. It was her choice, a lack of respect for the love I gave her. I don't deserve to suffer that. This story taught me that not all wounds are the end. Sometimes breaking apart is a stepping stone to finding yourself and moving toward a better future. I know I will love again, open my heart again, but this time with more wisdom and strength. I want to send a message to everyone hurting. Because of love, you deserve happiness. Never be afraid to let go of what's not good for you. Believe that every ending opens the door to a new beginning, and light is always at the end of the tunnel. Thank you for listening to my story. I hope it will motivate you to face challenges, heal wounds, and find true happiness in your life. Story 3. Living with my boyfriend's troubled 11-year-old brother. When home feels unsafe. True Reddit stories. I'm a 23-year-old woman, and I've been living with my boyfriend, a 26-year-old guy, for nearly 3 years. We lived together, and I thought our relationship was stable. But recently, something happened that completely turned everything upside down. Not long ago, my boyfriend's parents were arrested, and he had to take in his 11-year-old younger brother to live with us. I understood it was a difficult situation. My boyfriend had no other choice, as his little brother had nowhere else to go. But the truth is, I feel really scared and uncomfortable around the boy. Not only because he just went through the huge trauma of losing his parents, but also because of some of his behaviors that make me extremely uneasy. He often stares at me for so long that I feel watched. That feeling is truly chilling. What's worse, he has the habit of walking straight into my bedroom without knocking, especially when my boyfriend isn't home. I've told him many times that he needs to respect privacy, but he doesn't care. He even showers and uses the bathroom with the door wide open as if wanting to show off to the whole world. Once I had just finished showering and was wrapped only in a towel when I walked out and saw him standing there staring at me with an undeniable gaze. I asked what he was doing, but he said nothing, quietly kept staring, then left. I talked to my boyfriend begging him to pay more attention and control his brother, but he just casually replied, "He's just trying to adjust, don't make a big deal out of it." But for me, this is not a small matter. I feel like I'm losing my safe space, feeling invaded and abandoned. I honestly don't know what to do because my love for my boyfriend is still strong, but I can't live with this constant emotional threat. Has anyone ever experienced something like this? Is there any way to ease this tension without hurting anyone? As time went by, the uncomfortable situations increased. I no longer dare to be alone in the house, and I can't relax when I'm near his younger brother. Every time I see his gaze following me, my heart sinks with fear. One day, I lent him my laptop to do homework. But when I got it back, I found it full of adult content videos and images that an 11-year-old child shouldn't be watching. I was shocked beyond belief. What's worse is my boyfriend considered it normal for a boy his age and just asked me to delete the history and files. I felt abandoned and unprotected. My mood worsened, and every attempt to share my concerns with my boyfriend was met with indifference and denial. He didn't stand by me, and that hurt me deeply. Many times I wondered if I was being too sensitive. But the discomfort inside me couldn't be silenced. I started avoiding direct contact with his younger brother, avoided staying home when my boyfriend wasn't there. I wanted to preserve my safety and minimal personal space. I felt lonely in my own home, and the one I loved the most didn't understand or care. Each day, the distance between me and my boyfriend grew wider, and I felt like living in a cold world with no support. Sleepless nights passed with me thinking about the future. Can this relationship be saved? Can I continue to endure this lack of respect and safety? These are questions I have no answers to. Eventually, I realized silence and endurance aren't solutions. I needed to speak my truth, set boundaries, and demand respect. I deserve to live in a safe environment, to be loved and respected. One day, I couldn't take it anymore. I decided to speak clearly with my boyfriend, not with gentle words or avoidance, but with straightforwardness and determination. You have to understand that I can't continue living like this. I need a safe environment and respect. If you can't protect me, maybe we shouldn't continue. That conversation changed everything. At first, my boyfriend was a bit confused, even a little angry because he felt betrayed when I spoke up. But then he began to take my words seriously. He agreed that clear boundaries were necessary and that his brother needed professional help to deal with psychological trauma. He promised to be more serious about supervision, creating private space for me and his brother. We started looking for a psychologist for his brother and learned together how to build a new family with mutual respect and understanding. Though things didn't improve immediately step by step, I felt positive changes. I learned that no matter how much you love someone, mental and emotional safety must come first. No one has the right to make you feel scared or unsafe in your own home. If you're in a similar situation, don't hesitate to speak up. I know it's not easy, but only when you face it bravely can you change your life. Life isn't perfect. People aren't perfect, but we can choose how to live, choose to be respected, and truly loved. Thank you for listening to my story. I hope it can bring some light and strength to those feeling lost. Thank you all for joining me in today's story. Life can be complicated, and challenges within family and relationships are not always easy to overcome. But it is in those difficult moments that we discover our inner strength, patience, and the ability to rise after every fall. If you're going through similar feelings, don't hesitate to seek help and speak up. You deserve to live in a safe environment, to be loved and respected. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you won't miss any real stories from Reddit told with full emotion and authenticity. I look forward to reading your thoughts and stories in the comments below, because here we're not just listeners but also sharers. See you in the next stories, where every echo is a story and every story is a life lesson.